everybody, and welcome to the Creative Cast. Happy Monday, y'all. I am so excited that you are here. We are kicking off another week together. It's Memorial Day. I hope everyone has a wonderful, safe, and fun day today. I will not say Happy Memorial Day. And here's why I won't say happy. So for those of you that may not know, my husband served in the Army for 6 years. And my grandfather and my father both served, as well as many members of my husband's family, including 3 of his brothers. It's very important to me that we look at the holiday itself. And Memorial Day was created to honor those that have given up their lives for our freedoms. It's not to honor current veterans, which I think that they should be honored each and every day for what they do, what they sacrifice, as well as to their families. Because as a former active duty military family, I can tell you it's not easy on anybody, even the kids. Now, this is not anything political or anything like that. It's just something that is really very important to me as a former Army wife. And let's honor all those men, women that have given up their lives for our freedoms, as well as their families who have lost them. With that said, I hope everyone has a wonderful, fun, safe day. So let's talk about podcasting and the church. In simpler times, the internet was just about message boards and online text chats and instant messenger. Nowadays, people are spending so much of their lives online. And some people, that is their entire career, whether they are a social media influencer, whether they are a social media manager, whatever their entire day could be spent engaging online. So this is where churches have an amazing opportunity to meet their community, their congregation, where they are. And this has never been more true than over the last year with COVID and quarantines and shutdowns and churches not being able to open up and all kinds of things. So when I got this question a few weeks ago from my friend Liz in Texas, hi Liz, asking about creating a podcast for her church and being able to put the sermons online. So I wanted to unpack this a little bit and kind of look at the reasons why churches should be doing this. Because we want them to be able to spread the word to each and every person. So each week, your pastor or priest, sorry y'all, I'm Catholic, prepares and presents a sermon to the congregation. And each week you see the amazing work that God does with these sermons to move people's hearts and minds. Now, podcasting, as we know, and we've talked about multiple times on the show, is extremely popular right now. And religious podcasts, so any podcast that has to do with religion, spirituality, or any religious podcast, account for nearly 15% of all podcasts. The last number that I saw about the total number of podcasts, I think it was around 2 million. So that's 15% of that. Go and do your own math. I'm not a math girl. That's why I edit podcasts for a living. Now, over the past decade, listeners of those religious podcasts, as measured by downloads, because measuring podcast statistics is not an exact science, but from what they have been able to tell, that it has increased over 85% on average per year. 85%. That's a phenomenal growth rate. So if you create a podcast and you start putting your sermons online, those become available to anyone with internet access via computer, phone, or other mobile device. So let's reframe that for a second. That makes all of the sermons that your church does available to anyone at any time in any part of the world. That's big. Now let's look at it from another point of view. So let's say you have a family that moved away from the church, from your church last month, and they just absolutely love your pastor, and they don't want to miss it for a single second. Now, years ago, they would have had to miss it, or they would have to hope that it came out in maybe an email. Well, now you can go and listen to it if your church has a podcast. Or let's say you're a solo missionary in another part of the world. That week's message can still reach them. No physical location needed. Now, if 2020 taught us anything, it's that life can be unpredictable. I mean, seriously, right, y'all? 2020 was dumb. Just dumb with all the changes and transition and fear and everything that happened last year. So it just shows us how unpredictable life can be. Something always can come up. We never ever thought that we would ever see churches being closed, but we did. We saw it last year, and in some places, like in certain places in Canada and other parts of the world, they are not reopening. But it also could mean just people are out of town. Mom and dad just could not get the kids ready for church. Just was not happening. But does that mean that we have to miss out on things? No, absolutely not. They can listen on next Monday or next week, or even a month or year later. Because when you publish your sermons as a podcast, your members can listen to them whenever and wherever they are able to. Now, thanks to social media, if we think something is interesting, we share it, right? We do it every day. We share pics of our kids and friends and things that we're starting to do now that we're starting to come out of this pandemic. We see funny videos on TikTok or in Reels, funny memes, news, etc. The list can go on. And instant action these days for so many of us. And I hear it all the time. Go, oh, I totally have to share this. Or, oh, I need to upload those pictures so that I can share the video from my son's graduation. Or that reel was hilarious. I need to share it with Janie because I know because she loves Baby Yoda. I get it. I like Baby Yoda too. So when you have a podcast for your church, it makes your sermons also easy to share. It makes getting that message out even easier to those that need it. If someone is really touched by a particular message, or they're thinking of a friend who's going through a hard time and really needs to hear what this message says or what the sermon says, you can simply share it with others just by sending them to the church website. And think about this in terms of new and visiting members. So your church website tells new members a lot about your church. It shows who you are, what your message is, your mission, your calling. So different opportunities for them to get involved. And so by having your sermons as a podcast, you add them to your site, which allows visitors to hear the way that you teach. It also allows new visitors to listen to past sermons and to understand the context of the sermon that they will most likely encounter on their first physical visit to your church. But it also provides a safe environment for non-believers or new members to see what your church is like. If they are intimidated, curious, they're thinking about leaving one religion and converting to Christianity. Recently on one of my friends' podcasts, the Wonder Podcast with Chrissy Dunham and Lisa Clark. Love you girls. They had an amazing episode about a young woman who grew up Muslim and ended up becoming a Christian simply by being invited to attend church. They were just given a simple invitation saying, hey, why don't you come and join us? We would love to have you. And that lady's journey through that and finding God and figuring out what her role was and what God was calling her to do was just simply amazing. So you really need to go listen to that. It is episode 126. I will link it in the show notes. The other really cool thing is about putting your sermons or your service or Mass for the Catholics as a podcast is then you create an Evergreen Archive. Because let's say there's a sermon that you did 18 months ago and it's amazing. Most people are probably going to forget about it. They may be able to pick out one or two messages from that sermon, but they're not going to remember the whole thing. It's just the nature of the beast. Some things are just hard to remember after a while, right? Well, at least for me. But by keeping sermons as podcasts, they are always available. Let's think about this for a minute. There's a great message you remember from last year that you want to share. Maybe it's a past Christmas Eve sermon that you absolutely loved. Or there's just a message you want to share with a friend that you remember a sermon a year ago about doubting your faith, and you know that your friend needs to listen to this message. You know that this is going to help them. The beauty of podcasting is they're always there. They're always available. And you can easily give your friend the link and she can listen to it at her convenience. Now, when I have been approached by churches that are thinking about having a podcast, I usually run into two common misconceptions about starting a podcast for their church. Now, the first one I get from all walks of life, not just churches, not just ministry, not just of the faith-based community. A lot of people have this misconception, is that podcasting is just too expensive. And then the second one is how it takes a whole tech media team to put this together. So if either one of these apply to you, these are completely false. Because the fact of the matter is you probably already have everything that you need. So the first step to getting your sermons, your services, your mass, whatever it is you need to record them, right? Now, if you run sound through a soundboard or a mixer, your audio is already being converted to a digital format. Now, all you need to do is record it. And I know there's some people out there saying, well, what if we don't run sound through a soundboard? No problem. I gotcha. All you have to do is you can use a digital recorder or even a smartphone app to record the sermon at the podium. Rode has a really great one that you just put on your smartphone, turn it on, hit record, that's it. Now you're ready to create your podcast. So once you're ready to create your podcast, then all you got to do, and if you go back and listen to episode 1 of the Creative Cast, I walk you through the exact steps that you need to do that. You can find that at tammymuntoncreative.com/episode 1. Now, I know you guys are going to have some questions, so if you have them, I want you to email me. Let me know what you're thinking, whether it's about creating a podcast for your church, if you're already doing that, whatever your questions are, I am here for you. One of my main passions is to teach others and to be able to spread the word. So email me at support@tammymuntoncreative.com. Unfortunately, that is all the time we have for the show today. Wow, boy, does time fly by when I'm recording this. But I want you to tune in next Monday because I'm going to be taking a deep dive into podcast marketing strategies. Now, I've been getting a lot of questions about this from clients. I've been getting a lot of DMs on Instagram. So let's make sure. So I'm going to go down the rabbit hole, so to speak, on some of these things. I've got 10 different podcast marketing strategies that you can implement the very next day. So that'll be next Monday. So make sure that you tune into that one. And I have a big ask of each and every one of you. Would you please subscribe if you haven't already and leave a rating and a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcast from so that it'll help others find out about the show. If you're not familiar on how to do this, no worries. I've got it step by step for you. You can find out more on how to do exactly that by going over to the show notes for today's show. So that's tammymuntoncreative.com/episode 9. Ladies and gentlemen, I know we have a few men listen to the show. I believe in each and every one of you. Y'all are my heroes. I believe inexperience, production fatigue, and intimidating tech should not hold you back. So let's walk through this journey together to spend less time worrying about the details and more time spreading your message. I hope that you have a great day. Enjoy Memorial Day, and I will talk to you next Monday. Bye, y'all.